Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Tanks Blitz, and today we're going to be doing a garage review of this thing. This is the Dreadnought, the newest tank available from the Battle Pass. And ever since I saw it, I've been so excited to get this tank. Because not because it's going to be particularly good, I don't know, but because it's a gun carrier. This is a better version of the gun carrier. So yeah, this is from the World War One style battle pass that's going on, and yeah, it's just a better Churchill gun carrier. I've got the legendary camo, which you get from reaching level 70 in the battle pass, and it just looks great. First of all, I mean, look at it. There's a normal gun carrier for comparison. You know, we've seen the gun carrier before. I've done videos on the gun carrier. It's not good, but at the same time I still like it. And then here's the Dreadnought. As you can see, it's a gun carrier, but not a gun carrier. So because this is a sort of World War One themed map pass or battle pass, this is quite reminiscent of the World War One tank that we got. What was it? The Mark I male that we got for the 100 Years of the Tank event in Blitz, where it was a Tier 1. It was a Tier 1 tank. It could only see other World War One tanks, and after the event, it was gone. And this is quite reminiscent of it because it has got that same hull shape, much like the World War One tanks of the British, but with a Churchill gun carrier. It's a bit of a weird one, but at the same time, it's great. I mean, just look at it. It's designed to look like a World War One tank, but it's still a Churchill gun carrier, and it's still great. But yeah, so obviously we're going to be comparing it mainly to the Churchill gun carrier because that's what it is. That's what it's based off of, essentially. A lot of these Battle Pass tanks, they are just souped up, almost, sort of different variants of a tech tree tank. For example, the first ever Battle Pass tank, the Thunderer, was a copy of the KV-1S. The Agent was a copy of the what was it, the VK-3691, I think. The German light tank, I can't remember. But yeah, this is just a copy of the gun carrier. So, starting out, 1007 HP, that is including improved assembly. If we take that off, it goes down to 950 HP, which compared to something like the gun carriers, 850 if I didn't have improved assembly on. It's better than that. The Jagdpanzer 4 as well, better than that. What about the Nashorn? 1060, so yeah, that's got about... that's just got 1000 HP, and then, you know, SG 100 for another, 901. So yeah, it's got a decent amount of HP. It's one of the higher amounts of HP for a non-turreted tank destroyer, and even for a turreted tank destroyer, that's still quite a lot of HP, which is nice. It's better than the gun carrier, and the same as the armor. Finally, the gun carrier has got armor. 175 frontal hull, 90 side, 51 rear, which is amazing. Finally, the gun carrier has got some armor, because the gun carrier has been buffed. It got buffed up to 150 frontal armor, 64 side, 51 rear still. But even so, the armor on the gun carrier is still not great. The Dreadnought, however, you can side scrape. You can, actually absorb frontal shots. I mean, for comparison's sake, 175mm of frontal armor, that's the same amount of penetration as a KV-1S has on its 122. Very few tanks, other than other tank destroyers, will be able to get through this tank reliably at sort of long, medium, and even short-range distances. If you want to take out this thing, you've got to get around to the sides and rear, because from the front, it's now actually got frontal armor. I mean, just look at that slab of armor there. You can see the cut from where it's just been cut out, and then you've got the gun carrier, which is, yeah, well, it doesn't have that add-on armor package that this thing seems to have. There's where the gun carrier armor normally is, and here's where the Dreadnought has just got a massive bolt of armor on it. It is great. It is really well armored. View range 253.4 meters. I mean, yeah, still nothing too amazing. Neither is mobility. 25 kilometers per hour average speed, 11 power to weight ratio, 46 degrees per second hold reverse with a 491 horsepower engine, bearing in mind that I do have engine accelerator on, which does help with that power to weight. Even so, it's still not very mobile. We compare it to something like the Jagdpanzer 4, which definitely doesn't have as good armor, but it definitely has better mobility. 32, 17.7, still 41 degrees per second hold reverse, which the Dreadnought actually beats. There you go, 46 degrees per second hold reverse. SU-100 as well. It's, again, not as good frontal armor, and mobility-wise far better, which is where the Dreadnought actually, loses out compared to the regular gun carrier. Better hold reverse than the gun carrier. It's got better power to weight, better engine power. It's all round just far more mobile. Well, not far more mobile, but it's slightly more mobile than a gun carrier. Definitely in terms of traverse, at least. And so, yeah, pretty much it's just a better gun carrier at this point. From what we've seen so far, it's just got far better mobility to an extent, but it also has got a better armor, which is the most important thing. This thing is now actually good as an assault tank, which the gun carrier was not. So yeah, this thing just has got very good armor. However, where it runs out is the gun. It is an Ordnance Quickfire 32 pounder Mark 17, which compared to the gun carrier, which also has a 32 pounder, it's just an Ordnance Quickfire 32 pounder anti-tank gun. They haven't specified what model of 32 pounder it is. So, even so, the gun carrier does have a better gun than the Dreadnought. Dreadnought's got a 3.7 second aim time, 0.34 dispersion, 2300 DPM with a 7.75 seconds average reload time. I say average, 7.75 second reload time just straight off. 182 average pen with AP, 230 with APCR, 50 with HE. Because it is a 32 pounder, does do 300 average AP, 260 APCR, 350 HE. Does get 10 degrees of gun depression, and also the gun, where is it? Gun traverse limit 7 and 7. So compare that to the gun carrier, which has also got a 32 pounder, but in comparison, the gun carrier, better aim time, 2.9 seconds, better dispersion, 0.31, better DPM of 2.5k, better reload time of 5.89, better average pen, 214, 246 and 47 with AP, APCR and HE. However, it doesn't do as much damage for whatever reason. 250, 210, 330 compared to the 300 average damage of the AP for the Dreadnought. It still does get 10 degrees of gun depression, but it only has got 5 degrees of gun traverse either way. Not sure exactly why that is. I think the Dreadnought has just got slightly better. It's just got a slightly wider actual gun hole in its frontal armor there, which is odd. But yeah, overall though, the gun of the Dreadnought just isn't as good as the gun carriers. It's a tier 7 gun compared to the tier 8. Even so, these stats are still very good. 3.7 second aim time. It's not too bad. It's slightly slow, but not all too bad. Gun dispersion 0.34 is still very accurate. The gun carriers 3.1 second aim. 0.31 accuracy is just a very, very good accuracy. Have I actually got? No, that's not even using refined gun. Using refined gun, go down to 0.28. I've got vert stabs on it for the poor gun arc. But yeah, even so, 0.34 accuracy on this thing is still very good. DPM still 2300. We compare it to the Jagdpanzer 4, which has got the 88, which has got a 2.7k. Goes up to 2.9k with the 75mm. The SU-100 with the 100mm. Got 2.2 second, 2.2k rather. Nashorn with the 88 is probably going to have 2300. Sam Jackson with the 90mm, 2000. So yeah, it's definitely not the worst in terms of DPM. 2300. That's sort of pretty average for a tier 6 tank destroyer, at least compared to the ones that I have here. The 7-second reload time is still, well, 7 and 3/4 second reload time is still not too great, which helps, well, which is partly caused by the DPM. But even so, it's very good on a ridge, as you can expect, with 10 degrees of gun depression. Gun arc is still terrible, though. What about the Yarg? The Yarg has got 10 degrees left and right. This thing's only got 7 compared to the gun carrier's 5. It's a slight improvement, but even so, you're going to be traversing quite a lot here. You're going to be traversing a lot, actually moving the hull in order to actually get eyes on someone, in order to actually hit them, which is something to note. It's got the same problem as the gun carrier, but overall the Dreadnought is better than the gun carrier. Even though the gun carrier does have a better gun, having 182 mils of pen is still more than enough at this tier, in comparison to something like the Jagdpanzer, which has got 175 average pen. SU-100 has got 175 average pen with the 100 mil, or 180 with the 122. The Nashorn's going to have 203 rather, because it's got the long 88. The Sam Jackson's got 175. Yeah, so it's got above average pen. It really doesn't need the 212 of the gun carrier. It's still about as accurate as you need it to be. 0.34 accuracy is nothing to cough at. It's pretty good accuracy. Same with the aim times. Aim time's pretty decent. There's not much else it can do other than changing its hull in terms of actual gun arc. So even though the gun is not quite as good as the gun carrier, it's still a good gun, and overall it's just a better platform for the gun. The gun carrier is completely obsolete. Just straight up, the gun carrier is obsolete if you have the Dreadnought. If you have the Dreadnought but also want to get the gun carrier, and you somehow get the gun carrier, you have been given a direct downgrade in comparison to the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought looks cooler. It's more functional, it's more practical than the gun carrier. The gun carrier is obsolete due to the Dreadnought now. So yeah, overall just good tank stats-wise. As for consumables, you've of course got your standard repair, first aid, fire. You've got adrenaline, 10% to load speed, 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules, and then you've got engine power boost for the extra 20% to engine power, and then your multi-purpose, which is those normal 3 rolled into 1. You can go ahead and mount them as you want. As for provisions, this is a British tank, so you do get puddings and tea and black tea for 10 and 3% respectively to crew mastery. You've got your standard and improved fuel for 3 and 10% respectively to engine power and turret traverse, and then you've got your protective kit, which is all of that lot. So you can go ahead and mount them as you want. I've gone with the crew mastery skills to basically buff the gun. It improves the aim time, the reload time, the DPM. It also partially buffs the hull traverse as well, and then obviously improved fuel is also going to help the mobility. Mobility wise though, it's still going to be pretty poor. It is a gun carrier after all. It's still basically a Churchill. But yeah, you can go ahead and mount them as you want. As for ammo, it does carry 50 rounds in comparison to the gun carrier, which carries 46. So it carries 4 extra rounds, but even so, because it does have a lower DPM than the gun carrier, it's firing less frequently, which means you're never going to run out of ammo. The gun carrier never runs out of ammo, therefore you're not going to run out of ammo either, so you can go ahead and mix and match those as you want. You've got more than enough space for whatever loadout you want. As for equipment, gun rammer, get your DPM down. You don't need calibrated shells. You have got enough penetration for this tier anyway. You don't need extra pen given by that. Better to get your DPM up and your reload time down by using a gun rammer. Improved modules for the extra track durability, which is going to be useful because, like the gun carrier, your side is basically track. You can side scrape in this thing now, like I said, because you do have 90 mils of side armor, which is lovely. It is great to have that amount of side armor. So yeah, improved modules for the extra track durability. Camonet, you are a tank destroyer after all, but then again, you do also work as an assault gun. So You might want to go with coated optics, but just because I'm coming into this from the gun carrier benefits from a caminet. This thing will also help with a cabonet as well. It makes a very good tank destroyer. It can also make a decent assault gun, but generally tank destroyer is going to be more useful to this thing, so caminet probably better. Enhanced gun lane drive for the extra, for the buff to aim time rather. That's going to be useful. 10% to aim speed. You don't really need supercharge with your penetration. So I'd say enhanced gun lane drive. Enhanced armor. You have now actually got armor, something the gun carrier doesn't. This thing is probably the most well-armored tank destroyer at this tier. So enhanced armor is going to be very useful to this tank. So definitely get that over the improved assembly. Then engine accelerator. Buff that power to weight and engine power and slightly hold reverse. You don't need improved control. Engine accelerator is going to be more useful, as is vert stabs. You might be tempted to get refined gun, get that aim time down to get that accuracy down to 0.31. You don't need him. Vert stabs is going to be more useful, especially considering you only have 7 degrees of gun depression either way, or 7 degrees of gun arc either way of the center line. Vert stabs is going to be more useful because you are going to be turning your hull quite a lot, and in that case, vert stabs is more useful to you. Because if you are turning your hull, your bloom is going to go up. Vert stabs is going to be far more useful to actually get you aiming on those targets a lot easier, and also snapping off shots on the move if you are actually turning your hull, trying to track someone. So vert stabs is going to be more useful. Then enhanced tracks, probably going to be more useful. You've got very strong frontal armor. Your sides are used up a lot by the tracks, so enhanced tracks is probably going to be more useful, though you could go with toolbox. I'd say enhanced tracks is more useful. Then your choice of whatever the hell those two things are. So overall, the Dreadnought is it's a great fun tank. If you don't like the gun carrier, you may not like this one. However, I have a feeling that you probably will. It is basically sort of like a Tortoise or a T95, but at tier 6, because it's just got amazingly good frontal armor. Or in fact, a better comparison to this thing is the 87. It's sort of like an 87, except more mobile, can you believe it? Yeah, it's just generally more useful. Quite honestly. It's got better mobility, it's better at just moving around than 88 rather. It's just better at moving around than the 88. It's more mobile. It gets technically a slightly better gun because it does get slightly better DPM, although it's not as fast firing. But if you can live with that, then you're probably going to like this tank. It is essentially an assault gun, although it also works as a tank destroyer. It's just great overall. If you have a gun carrier but always felt it was lacking a bit, the Dreadnought's going to be for you. So yeah, there's the Dreadnought. I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.